The weapon attachment system in Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2 is very confusing and very convoluted. But in this video today, I'm going to explain that entire system and how you can unlock the attachments that you want and need for Modern Warfare 2 and for Warzone 2. Now, if you find this video helpful, feel free to leave a like and consider subscribing as well. This video took a lot of research, a lot of script writing, and a lot of planning to explain this overly complex system, and your support would definitely be needed. We're very, very close to 100,000 subscribers. So let me explain how the attachment system works. And it works in 3 distinct branches, and then there are sort of 2 ways that you can unlock them that make the most sense. So let's talk about those branches first, and here I'm going to use the Kastov 762 as an example. Now, with general weapons in Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2, the attachments are split into 3 sections. There are weapon-specific attachments that you can only use on a certain weapon, then there are attachments which are shared with a weapon family, and then there are attachments which are shared universally. So when talking about attachments that are specific, ammunition and magazines are a great example of this, of attachments which are specific to the gun that you have right now. The Kastov 762, for example, has high-velocity rounds, which are only useful for this weapon. The magazine, I only have certain mags that I can only use on this specific weapon. Then, there are attachments which are shared between weapon families. Good examples of this are the barrel and the stock. And you can see that if I go into the barrel segment here, there is an attachment here for the RPK, which I will need to level up to level 16 in order to use on the 762. And sure enough, if you look at the weapon tree family, the RPK is part of the Kastov 762 family, so I will need to level up that pretty strongly in order to get the attachment. Likewise, with things like the stock, you can see I have a couple of RPK stocks and a few other stocks which are shared between the weapons here, and I specifically need to unlock the ProLite stock because I need faster ADS speed on this weapon, so again, I would have to level up this weapon family and unlock stuff for the RPK specifically. Likewise, there's another stock here for the mini-back, which is also a part of this weapon family, which you can see all the way at the bottom here. And then finally, there are universal attachments, and you tend to find these in places like the optic, where optics are shared across multiple different weapons, and specific ones that you can want. For example, let's say you want a thermal optic here, which is like a thermal hollow sight, you would have to level up the PDSW-528, which is a submachine gun, a completely separate weapon, but it's a universal attachment. Likewise, with the muzzle, there are certain muzzles here which are, DMR muzzles, assault rifle muzzles, and even a sniper rifle SPR muzzle is available for me to use on this assault rifle. So there we have it. Individual attachments like this, shared attachments like barrels and stocks, and then you have universal attachments like optics, so on and so forth. So how can you go about getting the attachments that you want, and which ones specifically should you be going for? Now there are 2 options here. You can either vaguely work your way through a family of weapons, or you can work your way for very specific attachments. Now what I mean by working your way for a family of weapons is that in the example of the Kastov 762, leveling up most of these weapons will eventually mean that you have the majority of the attachments for all of these guns put together. There'll be some attachments which are specific to other weapons and platforms, but generally speaking, by doing all of these guns, you'll get most of the attachments. And some attachments are also shared. For example, if you decided to specifically focus on leveling up assault rifles, you would find that assault rifles, LMGs, and battle rifles tend to share a lot of attachments, because they are, in many essences of the word, similar things. I've never used the Icarus 5.56 in this game, you can see it's level 1, but if I go into the gunsmith, I've got loads of muzzle attachments from all the other ARs that I've leveled up in the game. You can see some of them are from the Lockman 5.56, which I still need to do, the Tauk 56, the HCR 56, which is a light machine gun, and all the other attachments as well, underbarrels, so on and so forth. By generally working my way through assault rifles, I've managed to unlock things like muzzles, underbarrels, optics, so on and so forth. There are certain attachments like lasers, which you can generally get by just working on sniper rifles and submachine guns. You can see that there is an SPR one, a Signal 50, an MCPR 300, an EBR 14, and also a couple of other options too. But generally, if it makes sense for that weapon, you'll find that there is an attachment for it. Laser sights make sense for snipers for faster ADS, so you'll see a lot of lasers accessible through snipers. Muzzles and underbarrels make the most sense for things like assault rifles and DMRs, so you'll see a lot of them for assault rifles, DMRs, and LMGs. So you can either work it in terms of working through a family tree like the Custovia platform, or you could just generally work on assault rifles, then generally work on light machine guns, and then generally work on marksman rifles, so on and so forth. But you could also go a different way, and you could also specifically focus on the attachments you need, and then specifically level up those weapons. For example, in this Custovia 762 platform, I actually really need to increase the ADS speed on this gun. And the only attachment I have for that so far is the True Tac grip, which gives me a bit of ADS speed. So an example that I could use here is I could go and unlock the SPR 50, or sorry, the Signal 50, and go get it to level 3, and I would get an ADS speed laser sight, which I can use not only on my sniper rifles and Signal 50, but also here available on my AK. And that's a good example of using a specific attachment unlock to improve a specific scenario for your weapon. And that is something you're going to have to do. I could, for example, get a super fast ADS speed AK by leveling up the MCPR 300. But if I go over to the sniper rifle section, you can see this is the Corio LAS 44 V3. If I head on over to a sniper rifle and I select one, let's say for example the Signal 50, and I head into the gunsmith, you'll probably be able to see in private matches that you would be able to get the exact same laser sight. Even on the M4, you can see that the Corio LAS 44 V3 is an available optic. So by leveling up the MCPR 300 sniper rifle, I've got it for my M4, I've got it for my 762, I've got it for a bunch of the other snipers, and I've even got it for my M4. So I can very specifically focus on specific attachments to make my weapons better. So what does this mean for your general setups in Modern Warfare 2 and your general setups in Warzone 2? Now, ultimately, Warzone 2 and Modern Warfare 2 will demand two separate things. In Modern Warfare 2, you're going to be needing fast ADS, low recoil, and good general accuracy weapons, whereas in Warzone 2, you may need specific builds. For example, you'll need long-range assault rifles, long-range light machine guns, long-range DMRs, but you'd also need short-range stubby SMGs, and attachments for those that also make sense. So this is a good example on the 762 tree again. This, again, is pretty much as close as I will get to a good Modern Warfare compact weapon. I do need to get the ProLite stock for this to get it a little bit quicker on ADS, and I could also go for that laser sight on the SPR, or the Signal 50, or the MCP 300 to make it an even faster ADS weapon. But generally speaking, if I take this into the firing range, you can see that this is a fast ADS, or fast-ish ADS, AK, with decent damage, decent performance, and decent maneuverability, and this is perfect for Modern Warfare 2. But if I need something more akin to Warzone 2, I would have to level up different attachments. I need the CAS-10 584mm barrel to get high bullet velocity over range and good recoil control, which is obviously a standard which we've been doing for ages now in Warzone 1, but for now I can go with the 406mm barrel. I also need a suppressor. I can use my Custovia DX90 here for sound suppression, bullet velocity, and recoil. I can keep the exact same underbarrel here and the exact same grip because it's a recoil compensation setup. And then I would also need to change out the optic because I will need a long-range optic like the VLK 4.0 here in order to use this over range in Warzone 2 as a long-range AR. Now, if I go into the firing range here, you can see that this weapon is now ready, willing, and able to work for Warzone 2. It's now a long-range specimen and something that'll be a little bit better. I can improve it by swapping out the laser sight for a stock like one of the heavier RPK stocks, but this is a good medium to long-range AR that I'm ready to take in Warzone 2. And that is how the attachment system generally works. You can either opt to try and level up entire weapon family trees, like focusing on the M4 platform, or you can get the very specific attachments you need by going to individual guns to get them, or you can vaguely unlock entire assault rifles, LMGs, battle rifles, so on and so forth, and you can achieve the attachments that way. But in terms of what you're looking for, I'll list them on screen now. In Modern Warfare, you're looking for fast ADS, recoil control, and, general accuracy. Whereas in Warzone 2, You will need both a long-range build for certain weapons like LMGs, ARs, and battle rifles, and fast ADS builds for things like submachine guns and sniper rifles. And those are the specific two things that you should be looking for in order to build the best possible classes by the time Modern Warfare 2 has a meta sort of emerging, and by the time Warzone 2 is releasing. Now, I hope you found this video useful, and I hope it explains how you can go about unlocking specific attachments to achieve certain things. But generally speaking, you will know your weapon better than anybody else. You'll know, for example, that if you use a SCAR, the SCAR is a good gun, but it's got a bit of kick to it. And because it's got a bit of kick to it, you're going to want to focus on getting a good underbarrel that will handle that kick effectively. You want to focus on getting a decent setup for something like its stock, which will overall improve its recoil control, but hopefully won't mess with its ADS speed too much. You would want to focus on something like getting it a decent rear grip, so on and so forth. This is a good example of a weapon which has short-range and long-range variants, and however you want to spec it will require you to go and hunt those attachments directly. Now, if you found this video helpful, feel free to subscribe, we're super close to 100k, drop a like, support the channel, and I'll catch you again in the next one.